Hi everyone, have you ever wondered how hard it would be to make a video game? Well, for the last year, I've been learning how to do that using Unity, and I'm going to share with you the results of what is a fairly complete project. It's a video that I recorded for Kickstarter, and it includes basically only gameplay and a discussion of the design philosophy behind that gameplay. But keep in mind that it is basically the result of spending about 5 hours a week for the last year. And that time has been divided between making the game itself and also learning Unity. So this should give you an idea of what that level of commitment can produce. If you remember the collectathon from the PS1 and N64 era, then you might feel like it's a bit of a lost art form. Well, this Kickstarter is about bringing it back. It's a mixture of collectathon plus a bit of puzzle platforming. It's set in an aggressively minimalist world where your only goal is to get from the start to the end of the level. Except, of course, you also have the goal of collecting things along the way. Sometimes optional, sometimes required. Our worlds are aggressively minimalistic with simple colors, simple geometry, but interesting layouts that encourage experimentation and try and find the best way to get from the start of the level to the end. Although speedrunning is not required, it is definitely part of our design to try and figure out the best way through these levels that are both open world and also very small, so that you can learn all their intricacies and figure out through sheer mental effort the best way to get through them. In fact, speedrunning is definitely such a big part of the game that we're going to build it into the requirements to progress. It's not meant to be punishing. We don't expect you to repeat each level 20 times in order to find the optimal solution, but we do expect you to maybe replay them a few times in order to figure out the best route from point A to point B that includes all of the collectibles. Of course, if you don't like speedrunning and just like to collect all the easy things that are there to collect, you can also play them that way and finish the main campaign. The visual style of the game is a bit reminiscent of the PS2 era. Of course, it's not meant to be exactly the same, but it does have a very strong minimalist aspect and aesthetic. That means that the levels don't really have a whole lot of unnecessary geometry. One of the upsides of this is that it can be played on any halfway decent computer. Even integrated GPUs, something like the UHD 620, would be able to play this just fine. The art style is somewhat varied, but if you're here looking for AAA, quadruple A, or even single A visuals, then you should just move along, because we're not going to give you that. We do have, by virtue of this simplicity though, a pretty large number of levels already made, about 30, and they really go across a pretty broad range from platforms in the sky that are just about getting there efficiently, to mazes that you have to figure out the path through, maybe collecting a few things that are necessary along the way, to levels that are really meant to be puzzles about how to successfully progress from the beginning to the end. So part of the Kickstarter funding choice that you have to make is which type of level would you like us to make more of, and so there are 3 different funding options that are basically votes for what sort of gameplay you would enjoy most. The game is completely non-violent, not because I don't like violence, but because it's hard to make enemies. So there's no shooting. Death is just a quick start back to the last checkpoint. And incidentally, part of finding a good path through levels is the fact that you can set the checkpoint a couple times per level to make it so that there's less backtracking. Right now we have about 2 hours of content, or of course a lot more if you're a real perfectionist and want to get the absolute lowest times per level. We will, if we get sufficient funding, build a Steam leaderboard in where people compete globally for the best time. In any case, that's our project, Alien Video Game Scientist. Look for it coming soon to Steam computers near you.